Chapter 25. The rest of the week seemed to fly by, and before I knew it, it was Sunday. Devin worked at the farm that morning, so I got up and went to the gym as I'd been doing all week. Afterwards, though, instead of going into the shop, I took a long hot bath, enjoying the opportunity to warm my bones and soak my overused muscles. When Devin got home, he let Gavin and Nickie decide who got the afternoon off. Gavin said he'd already met my family. It would be better if he went with us to my folks, so Nickie got to go home. He wasn't wrong. Mom and Rain were the only ones who'd met Nickie so far. It would be more of a stretch why we took him to a family dinner. I thought for several minutes, trying to come up with an excuse to give my family for bringing him. It didn't have to be anything huge. While guests weren't the norm for Sunday dinner, they weren't uncommon either. "Have you been seeing anyone?" I asked him. "Not seriously." "When's your birthday?" "June." I was quiet for a moment. "Where are your parents?" He scowled and looked at me, hesitant. "They're in Illinois." "Why are you asking all this?" "I'm looking for something to tell my family." "Would you be opposed to telling them that one of your folks is sick and you can't get back there? That we didn't want to leave you alone, so we took you with us?" He pinched the bridge of his nose with one hand. "How about just telling them I've been missing my family since they're all back east, so you decided to pull me into yours?" I pursed my lips and pulled them to one side, making an exaggerated face as I thought about it. "I guess that would work, but it's a little weak." I grinned. Gavin rolled his eyes and stood, heading outside to look around. We got to Mom and Dad's early. I wanted to help Mom cook, and it gave Gavin a chance to look around while Devin told Dad the real reason he was there. The excuse we'd come up with was for the rest of my family, the ones who didn't know about the Kitsune. In the kitchen, I looked around, trying to decide what needed to be done first. "How about you start by setting the table, dear?" Mom suggested. "Anyone not coming?" "Not as far as I know." "Justine?" "Working tonight." She shaped dough into rolls and placed them in a pan to rise. "All right." I did the math in my head and started carrying dishes to the table. The front door opened and I turned to see Gavin. He'd been outside doing a perimeter check before coming inside. He hung up his coat and came in the kitchen. "Good afternoon, Mrs. Daniels. Thank you for letting me join your family tonight." "It's no trouble," she gave him a welcoming smile. "The more the merrier." "Is there anything I can do to help you ladies?" He glanced around. "Not really. We've got it under control. Why don't you go join the guys in the other room?" "No can do, ma'am." She frowned. "Mom, you might as well put him to work. He's gonna stay in here with us either way." She turned the frown on me, not understanding. "He's my bodyguard. He's gonna stay with me." Her face cleared. "Oh, I should have thought of that." She paused, then looked at Gavin. "Can you make a salad?" With my eyes closed. He gave her an easy grin. "What kind do you have in mind?" She blinked. "Just a tossed salad. You'll find all the ingredients in the fridge over there, and if you can't find anything you need, feel free to ask." He got out all the vegetables and took them to the sink. "Where will I find a colander?" "Under that cabinet there," Mom pointed with the tip of her elbow. I went back to setting the table. We worked for a while, chatting easily until Gavin lifted his head, instantly more alert. "What is it?" Mom asked, noticing the change. "Vehicle just pulled in." Gavin stood still, waiting. "Who is it?" she asked. "Can't tell. I'm not familiar enough with your family's vehicles to know." He stayed on the alert until the front door opened, and a gust of air carried in Rain's familiar cinnamon scent. "Rain?" I told Mom, knowing Gavin would recognize the scent himself. "He's not alone." Gavin spoke again. Mom looked up, a crease lining her brow. I wonder who it could be. A moment later, her question was answered when Rain appeared in the doorway, Rissa tucked under his arm. I stood, eyes wide, waiting to see how he introduced her. Rain spotted Gavin, and his eyes darted to me before going to Mom. He released Rissa to move around the island and give Mom a hug. Then he came to me and gave me a brief one as well, before going back to my friend. Mom, I'd like you to meet Rissa. Rissa, this is my mom, Brenda. Rissa licked her lips. It's nice to meet you, ma'am. She wore an easy grin. A pleasure, I'm sure. She smiled and nodded, then turned to Rain. Why don't you go introduce her to your dad? He'll be thrilled that you finally brought someone home. Rain's eyes shot to me and he rolled them. He wrapped his arm around Rissa's shoulder again and steered her toward the front room. Mom waited until they were out of earshot, then asked, I take it you know her? Yeah, she works in the shop. How'd you know? I tilted my head. He didn't introduce you. You or Gavin? She went back to cutting zucchini and dropping it in the skillet. How well do you know her? I shrugged. She's a friend, we socialize, but I haven't known her all that long. Is she like the two of you? You mean a shifter? I looked at Mom. She nodded. Yeah, she is. She bit her upper lip. What is it, Mom? I could tell she was worried about something, but I couldn't imagine what it was. Does Rain know? About, you know? That was it. She was worried about how Rain would react when he found out. I grinned. Mom, he knows. He's known for a long time. The tension drained from her shoulders, and her usual easy smile returned. Good. I wasn't sure how he might take it. Sometimes he can be a little unpredictable. I smiled. Mom sometimes had no clue. But then, she didn't know about Rain's secret. I was the only one in the family he'd told, though several in the pack knew now. Dinner was almost ready when Gavin looked at me. Another vehicle, a car this time. That will be Brittany, Mom said, pulling the lid off the large turkey roaster on one side of the stove and setting it aside. I moved in before she had a chance to try and lifted the turkey out, setting it on the pan she had waiting nearby. Taking out a knife, I started carving it, arranging the slices neatly on a pair of platters. We heard my sister come in, her husband and kids with her, and I went to greet them. Gavin slid in beside Mom, smoothly taking over with the knife, freeing her to go with me. After we'd said hi to everyone and hugged the kids, Brittany started to join us in the kitchen to help get dinner on the table, but Mom stopped her. Go on in the living room, dear. Your brother has someone for you to meet. Mom patted her on the shoulder and sent her down the hall after the rest of her family. Brittany didn't ask who, but frowned at Mom before making her way to join the others. How's it going in there? I sent to Devin as I went back to work. Your sister's about to bust her seams. What? I take it from the way she's reacting that Rain's never brought anyone home before? Nope, not that I've ever seen. There was a short time I'd been away at school, but so had he, so I didn't think he'd brought anyone home then. Then this is a big deal. Very. Nickie. Mom's voice pulled my mind back to the kitchen. Yes. I turned to look at her. Are you all right? A crease marked her brow. Yeah, I'm fine. Why? You've been standing there without moving for several minutes. Sorry, I was just thinking. About what? A lot of things, but nothing important. Are you sure? I gave her my most genuine smile. I'm sure, Mom. She put her hands on her hips and gave me a stern look. You better not be lying to me, young lady. I resisted the urge to laugh. She wouldn't have taken it well. But after everything I'd dealt with in the last year, Mom just wasn't as scary as she'd once been. I promise, Mom, I'm fine. She looked at me hard for a moment, as if trying to figure out if I was lying, then went back to what she was doing. I did my best to not get distracted again.